Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Good afternoon. Good morning. We are going to get started here in a couple of seconds. Just want to let everyone get settled in. A lot of awesome content to cover today, so really excited about today's presentation, but we'll get started here in a couple of seconds. All right, seeing the attendees slowing down a little bit, so let's go ahead and open up our slides. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Kapansky, and thanks for joining us today for a best practice webinar. Today, we'll be covering how to automate your best advice during life events with Bento Engine and Zeplyn. Before we do jump in, a couple of housekeeping items throughout today's presentation. If you do have any questions, feel free to type those in at the bottom within the Q&A button in Zoom, and at the end, we'll be able to address those. Also, keep in mind that this presentation is being recorded, so you will have the opportunity to share the video with your colleagues in the future. So let's move on to some introductions. The host for today will, of course, be myself representing Wealthbox. For anyone that does not know me, my name is Chris Kapansky, Senior Product Specialist here at Wealthbox. I've been here at Wealthbox for almost 9 years now, having the opportunity to work with thousands of firms, helping them get set up with Wealthbox and get the most out of their CRM. And for anyone that is not familiar with Wealthbox, Wealthbox is a modern, easy-to-use CRM for financial advisors. We offer complimentary data migrations from any other CRM to help you get started. If you would like to check us out, you could head over to wealthbox.com, click on Book a Demo to learn more. I am also joined by Christina Villeta, Chief Operating Officer over at Bento Engine. Christina, can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Bento Engine?
Sure, Chris. As Chris mentioned, I'm the COO of Bento Engine. I've spent my entire career in financial services in a variety of different roles, from being a bond trader at Vanguard to strategic finance. And now, for the past 18 months, I've been delighted to be a part of the Bento journey to help bring a solution to life for advisors to deliver better financial outcomes for your clients through impactful advice. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Bento, we are an advice engagement solution where we use tech to link into leading CRMs such as Wealthbox to scan your book of business for opportunities for you to lead with advice. And once we find these advice opportunities, we match those with purposefully built, multi-format, compliance pre-approved content with the goal of putting you, the advisor, in the driver's seat to really do what you do best, is create that human element and that trust with your clients and your prospects.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining, Christina. We're also joined by Ira Jane, CEO and co-founder of Zeplin. Ira, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about Zeplin.
Hey everyone, I'm Ira Jane. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Zeplin. In my former life, I was a software engineer at Google, where I spent about a decade building AI products for Google Search and Assistant. And now at Zeplin, if you're unfamiliar with what we do, we are an AI-powered workflow intelligence platform for financial advisors. Our flagship product that we launched last year, the Zeplin Meeting Assistant, it helps streamline the meeting workflows for advisors end to end. So you could use Zeplin to do meeting prep, automate note-taking, follow-up tasks, task management, following up with clients, and updating CRM such as Wealthbox with a few simple clicks. Excited to show you what we have in store today with this exciting new integration with Bento Engine.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining. So let's get right into the topic at hand. We're going screens off for this one. We're jumping right into some questions here. So we'll start off. We always like to kind of start at the very top of the funnel. Let's talk about some definitions. Let's talk about kind of what is it that we're covering here. So what is a life event, and why are they important to advisors and their practice? Christina, what do you say to that?
Sure. So a life event is as simple as it sounds. It is an event in a person's life where money in motion occurs. Think going to college, getting married, moving to Florida. In my case, a new baby. So I'm very proudly just became an aunt. And these life events are golden opportunities for advisors to proactively serve your clients and also stand out from the crowd to prospects by providing proactive, impactful financial advice. And life events are more than just investing. It's really about optimizing a person's financial future to enrich their lives.
Got it. Thank you so much. Now, just kind of covering a little bit more of what we're seeing in the industry today. Why are advisors not currently paying attention to these life events? Ira, I'm curious to know what you have to say to this, and Christina as well.
Yeah, I can go first. So I think one of the biggest hurdle is identifying these life events. So what we found out is that 60% of data gathering happens in client interactions, such as meetings, but less than 25% of those interactions actually get documented in the CRM systems. And so it's very easy that a life event might just fall through the crack. Like maybe client made a side comment about having a newborn nephew, or like thinking of buying a property somewhere, and because the volume of data that's being discussed in that meeting, if diligent and accurate notes are not being taken, it's totally possible that the advisor might miss an important life event. So I think that's one of the big hurdles, to capture that information correctly and accurately.
Sure. Christina, anything to add?
Yeah, and in addition to that, even if we had a solution, and we do have solutions that identify these life events, the volume of them is a lot to track and also action upon. So, giving you an example, the typical bento advisor has approximately, on average, 100 households. Call that 400 contacts. And we see that every person probably has a life event every other year. So, quick math, that's 200 life events to keep track of every single year, which is a lot on top of everything else that advisors are doing on a daily basis. Also, once you have identified them, what's the so what? And that's delivering the advice. And what content are you using? How are you finding and personalizing that? All of that also takes time and energy.
Got it. Perfect. Now, with kind of identifying these life events, what's the solution with that? How can advisors use those life events as a guide point for planning?
Yeah, I think it's a great way to really dive deeper and really understand the needs of your clients' lives beyond just what do you want to invest in, or beyond let's prepare you for retirement. You really are serving as that financial therapist in a way to your clients. And I'll paint an oasis for you of a perfect world of what we think could be helpful in being able to find and action upon these. So let's pretend I'm an advisor. I come back on Tuesday from a long weekend skiing, and I'm like, what do? I open up my client record, whether that be in CRM or another tool, and I have a list for me prepared of contacts, life events that's based on signals that those contacts have already given me through other interactions, already populated. And then what can I do? I have content that's related to those specific activities that I can then deliver. This is all done, prioritized for me so then I can spend the time really building that relationship through these tools, as opposed to trying to find them and then also curate information and content to deliver.
Sure. Yeah, definitely makes sense. Now, Ira, I'm curious on your side of things. What would you say are some best practices that advisors could use to actually deliver the personalized planning to their clients?
Yeah, I mean, just double clicking on what Christina just said, right? Like, we think that automation is really key to delivering personalized advice at scale. And so, as you're scaling and as you're getting more and more clients, you need to first figure out how you can automate your processes so that you're not missing out on important details, and you're able to timely capture them and timely deliver those, advice based on what is happening in the client's life. So, I mean, I would say start by, automating the process of capturing these details on your clients. So you could use a tool like Zeplin, to document the notes from a meeting and automatically identify these life signals. Then set up some automation that can push this information to where your client data lives, which is Wealthbox, your CRM, right? Simplify that process on like updating the client records. They shouldn't be lag between when you spoke to the client versus, like when you're pushing out data in the CRM, because in between it's totally possible you'll forget half of the things that you discussed. So that process should be timely. And then once you are in your Wealthbox, when your client record is updated, the next step is, okay, these are the different life events that are happening. What are the next best steps here that I can take with respect to the client? So like triggering content, and this is where the power of Bento Engine comes in, which can provide very curated content based on the life events that are happening to the client at their fingertips, to the advisor at their fingertips. So I say automation by utilizing the right kind of tools in your tech stack is really key here to delivering the best advice.
Perfect. Thank you. And as you all have probably noticed, we always kind of try to start these best practice webinars with being as agnostic as we could, where yes, we each represent kind of our own tools, but we try to stay open-ended. These are the recommendations. This is what we see based on our perspective. But as always, towards the very end, we try to really get into how our specific tools can actually solve for this. So now we'll talk a little bit about how Bento Engine and Zeplin work with Wealthbox directly to make the entire process seamless. So Christina, I'll hand it over to you. I know that there's the entire process you want to paint for us. I'm really excited to see a bit more about that.
Sure. And I like to refer to this as a would be a triple solution or a tri-point solution. I'm not sure that's actually a term, but I'll paint the picture for you high level, and then we'll jump in. So it all starts with advisor engagement, or say a typical advisor-client conversation. As Ira mentioned, so many things happen in these conversations that oftentimes get missed in the moment. So with Zeplin as your meeting assistant, Zeplin can help you really identify key life events that the client is signaling to you through those conversations. Zeplin then allows you as the advisor to review these suggested life events and determine which ones you actually want to send to Wealthbox to action upon. From there, these life events populate as bento alerts directly as tasks in your Wealthbox. And then you as the advisor can select from Bento's multi-format content to determine how you actually want to deliver the advice related to the particular event. So let's actually bring this to life for you. And Ira and I are going to do a little role play. So bear with us as we do. I'm assuming you can see the Zeplin login page. Wonderful. Honestly, logging into Zeplin is super easy. You literally just click login and my credentials are already recognized. This is my hub here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how quick and effective the Zeplin meeting assistant works by creating a meeting. And Ira and I are going to role play as I'll be the advisor and she is my client. So I create this, I can say meeting with Ira. Also note, this could be pre-populated too. I can add Ira as a attendee and note that these are clients that are directly taken from Wealthbox. So I didn't have to populate any of these contacts. There's a sync from Wealthbox that'll pull them directly into the meeting assistant. I can then determine that I want to use the note taker and that Ira, have you given me consent?
Yes.
Wonderful. And then all I would have to do is send the note taker to the meeting. Oh, and
Maybe we can try the mic flow for
try the mic flow. Perfect. And start.
Note taking started.
There we go. Even easier. Now. All right. Hi, Ira. Nice to chat with you.
Hi, Christina. Nice to hear from you. Looking forward to catching up.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a quick call to confirm our 2025 Q1 review meeting next week. How were your holidays and are you still able to come in?
Yeah, absolutely. That time works for me. Holidays were fantastic. My husband and I, we did some traveling. We were in Japan. And by the way, I also became an aunt.
Oh, that's wonderful news. Congratulations, niece or nephew.
Nephew. So he arrived in late January, and I've been meaning to tell you, I've been thinking about opening up a savings account for him.
Well, what a thoughtful gift. We can certainly dive deeper on this in your broader review. What else is on your mind?
We were also thinking of purchasing a timeshare in Florida, but now with the new nephew, I'm not sure what we can afford. So I would love to discuss that as well with you.
That's exciting. And I'll make a note of that too to include in your review and we can talk more.
Great. Awesome. I have to run now, Christina, but I will talk to you next week.
Great. Talk to you then, Ira.
Note taking stopped.
All right, so go back to the note taker and right here, I stopped the note taker and you're,
A save note.
save notes. Perfect. So it takes a minute. When I say a minute, I truly mean a minute. Oh, and so as I wait for this to populate, just note is being paused. It is just taking a minute to. There we go. Okay, bring it back. Literal minute. And so what you can see here is this is the conversation we just had. One thing I think is cool and is it tells you the percentage of talk time. So this is good because I'm as the advisor talking 40% of the time, Ira's talking 60%. Details will tell you the details of what was discussed in the meeting, but really what we want to focus on here is this life events tab. So if I click on this life events tab here, I can actually see certain life events that may or may not have been discussed that the meeting assistant has highlighted to me based upon the conversation. And these 12 different events are actually the events that Bento has embedded into our program where we have content too. So you can see the note taker picked up on buying a home and picked up on saving and investing. If I wanted to edit this, I could go up and click this edit button and say instead of saving and investing, I wanted to get more specific to birth or adoption. I could then click not discussed on saving and investing, discussed on birth and adoption, exit edit mode that saves my changes. And then when I'm ready, I click this sync to CRM button, and this will send these life events to my Wealthbox. Perfect. So it's note sync to CRM. And then if I go over into Wealthbox, in my task list, I have these two bento alerts. I have birth or adoption and buying a home. They're already surfaced for ERA. And let's take a look at what the bento alert actually tells me. So I click into the bento alert. I can see here that when it was populated, who it's related to, and then some details here. So that they may be experiencing this life event, birth or adoption. And then below are links to this compliance pre-approved materials. I have 4 different client-facing mediums and then an internal use only advisor FAQ. So say I know that Ira is a visual learner, and before our meeting next week, I just want to send her a quick reference about having a baby. I click on this link, download the content, and I populate it. Each bento alert follows a similar structure. We have the what, so in this case, what are some of the financial considerations when having a child or bringing a child into the family in her case? The why. So why is it important to do certain actions? And then the how. And the how here is what you can do in terms of all of the different financial advice options that exist for having a child. Each one of the alerts also has when it was last reviewed, and note that we do take the time to periodically review our content just in case laws and regulations change to make sure we have the most relevant, up-to-date information. So in this case, this birth of a child piece was just reviewed last month. In case you want to dive deeper on the topic, there are sources and links directly to them. And then relevant disclaimers. Note that these are always something that you can edit per your own internal processes and needs. And it's as simple as that. I can then send this directly to ERA. I also have a record within my Wealthbox that this is a task that we discussed. So if I ever need to go back and reference for any reason, it is already there. As you saw, there's a lot as it relates to birth of a child. So say I want to just brush up before our deeper conversation on what are some of the key things that we should cover. I can click open this FAQs, and what this is it's essentially a repository for anything that may come up related to this particular topic. So if I wanted to just read through and understand on a layer deeper what are some of the considerations that I should be aware of, the FAQ is a great resource for this. And frankly, it's as simple as that. You can then decide where you want to go next, or if you decide, you know what, I have what I need, close this up and move on to the next Bento alert of the day. So I share that this is the process end to end. And from this, in a few short minutes, you can go from quick signal gathering all the way through delivering that high quality, impactful advice.
Awesome. Thanks so much for walking through that. That's very beneficial, very useful. I was always a big fan of kind of getting those life events right in front of you, and this just makes it so much easier. So now we'll go ahead and open up for Q&A. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to click on that Q&A button down at the bottom, and we'll be able to address some of those questions. I did see a couple of questions that did jump in here that we'll be able to address, but again, down at the bottom, you should see that Q&A button to enter in your questions. So one question here goes back to Christina, as you were talking about the 12 life events that are happening. The question is, how did you choose the life events that you do currently offer? I think there was 12 on the list there.
Yeah, so this is a lot of it's sourced from advisors. So just for context, Bento was built alongside the need working with advisors to really understand what would be valuable for them. So we first launched with age-based opportunities, and those are typical turning 50 catch-up contributions that we can surface proactively based upon date of birth. With the life events, we were asked, well, what other advice opportunities can you create that aren't necessarily age-based? Directly came from advisors. So some of these are fairly obvious, like going to college is a huge one, for example. But yeah, through the iterative feedback of what would be most valuable given the most frequent topics that do come up with advisors related to financial advice.
Perfect. Thank you. And another question for you, Christina, based on as you were showing in the task in Wealthbox, there's a couple different content mediums. The question is, which content medium is the most popular for someone that maybe doesn't know whether their client is a visual learner or not?
Yeah, well, 60% of people are visual learners. So we do tend to see that the data does track the PDF slash PowerPoint, but also emails are quite popular, just given today's on-the-go world. A quick email we've learned is a very close second.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question here, partly for you, Christina, partly for ERA, if that is something that would be possible. The PDFs for the visual learners, can those be customized per client in any way? And the second part of this, would meeting notes play any part in customizing any of the content that's sent out?
Yeah, I'll take the first part. So we do offer white labeling. Should you want to create these materials in your company's look and feel, that is always an option for you. Another thing too is one of the reasons the PowerPoint exists is to give you the flexibility should you want to maybe not pursue the whole white labeling solution, but add something on your own, or just put it in something that's popular. Is like putting it in a broader set of meeting materials that you're delivering.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, Ira?
Yeah, I can take the question meeting notes. So yeah, absolutely. Meeting notes can be customized based on the advisor's preference. So within Zeppelin, you can create as many as 10 different custom templates, and there you can basically describe what are the different topics that you want to capture. Maybe you want to focus on, let's say, 5 out of the 12 life events. That's maybe your core focus. You can customize that as well. But like the notes in general, you can choose a format that you would like. You can also generate client-facing summaries for a meeting. In Zeppelin, that's a different feature. It's not tied to this particular integration, but in there, if you like, you can, again, use a template of your choice, and then personalize that email that goes out to the client.
Perfect. Thank you. And Ira, another question for you here, going back to that conversation that we heard you two have, uh, for life events that might just be casually mentioned, how likely are those to surface in a note that Zeppelin gathers?
So we have fine-tuned our AI to capture that like with the highest accuracy. So currently the notes are captured with 98% accuracy. They can be misses, but we try to capture majority of relevant information because the models have been really trained to understand the wealth management context, and within that the 12 life events that Bento captures. So I think the likelihood of something getting missed is very low. You should expect to see life events populating 98% of the time. Worst case scenario, you can always edit the note, and if you want to like remove something or add something, you can do that before you push it out into Wealthbox.
Perfect. Thank you. And a question that always comes up anytime the conversation of AI comes up. So, you're more of a question for you. How are client details kept secure when sharing with AI transcription and summarization, especially in light of Regulation SP?
Yeah, so our note-taking solution is a recording-free solution. So we don't store any audio video of the meeting. When it comes to meeting transcripts, we give full discretion to our customers on how long they want us to retain it. We typically, by like default, retain the transcript for about 30 days, giving advisors enough time to review the notes that are generated, post which they are discarded. So, the transcripts wouldn't be emailed to the customer unless they want to archive it somewhere. And then when it comes to client PII, we redact social security numbers, for instance, from the meeting transcript that's captured, and all the other client data is encrypted end-to-end, in transit and addressed within our servers, and only made accessible to the advisor who owns that client, right? Because we have correct permissioning set up within Zeppelin to ensure that there is no leakage of data across advisors.
Perfect. Thank you. And I still see a couple more questions, but I know that we have some exciting stuff to talk about here as well. So I wanted to kind of pivot into maybe a different conversation. Ira, I believe you wanted to speak to this a little bit as well, just in terms of a promotion that's available.
Yes, so we are very excited to be launching this joint solution between Bento and Zeppelin, and we are offering a 15% discount on the Bento Zeppelin joint solution. You can, if you want to sign up, you can scan this QR code right now, and that will take you to our partnership page where you can fill in your details, your name, email, and we can get you started on a free trial of Zeppelin, as well as get you in the pipeline with Bento Engine. And if you make the decision before March 31st, you get this 15% off on both solutions.
Awesome. Really exciting. And I'll leave this slide up here for a couple more minutes as we get through some of the other questions. A couple other questions came up, kind of pointing to the same thing, which is how does the setup look with both Bento as well as Zeppelin, and then what is the pricing? So, Christina, I'll let you kind of get started first. What's the installation? What's the setup actually look like with Bento Engine, and then what does the pricing look like?
Yeah. So bento and couple of different options for you in terms of the setup. We do have a self-service link on our website that you can go through, follow the steps, and within, I think it on average takes 7 minutes, connect through API key to directly to your wealth box to get going. Also, we're always here should you want to have us walk you through it as well. You can always book a demo with us and we're happy to do so. But Wealthbox, you make it amazingly simple to set up so we have on our website a pricing page that starts that flow. In terms of pricing starts at $125 per seat per month for this live event solution. So that's a little under $1,500 per year. So, and then we also offer discounts should you want to bundle with one of our other solutions, such as our Life in Numbers, that's our age-based solution, or our Children in Wealth, which is related to age-appropriate content for G2 and G3.
Perfect. Thank you. And Ira, what does it look like with Zeppelin? What does this setup look like, and what's
Yeah.
pricing look like?
So pretty straightforward, very similar to Bento Engine. So you can go to our website, zeplin.ai, and you can get started with a free trial. Simply click on Start Free Trial, enter your name, email, and within a few minutes, you get your login details, and we give a 14-day free trial. So once you have your login credentials, you go into Zeppelin, you can connect to Wealthbox. That takes a few seconds. And yeah, and then you can start taking notes. If you want to avail the Bento integration, I would recommend scanning this QR code, and that will directly take you to our sign up page where we'll collect information on whether or not you're a Bento user. And if you're a Bento user, we will automatically turn on the live event feature for you, and you'll start seeing live events within Zeppelin for any notes that you take on our platform. For pricing, so currently we have two different plans. We have a starter plan and a pro plan. We also have an enterprise plan, but the Bento Engine integration would be available on the pro and the enterprise plan. But regardless, I will just share the pricing for all three plans. So our starter, it starts at $60 per user per month if you pay for the entire year. And should you decide to pay monthly, it comes down to $72 per advisor per month. Our Pro plan, which is our most popular plan, and that has all our features, meeting prep capabilities, Bento Live Events integration, and gives you 80 meetings per month per advisor. That's at $1,200 for the year. And should you decide to pay monthly, it comes down to $120 per month. And then we have our enterprise plan, which again, if you're interested, we typically start our enterprise plan at a minimum of 10 users. But if you're interested in talking about that, you can schedule a demo with us or call with the sales team, and you can do that on our website.
Perfect. Thank you. And hope everyone was able to take advantage of the QR code here up on the screen. I'll actually pull up another slide with just some follow-up contact information if anyone would like to reach out and get some of their additional questions answered. So, of course, you have the Wealthbox contact info on the left, sales@wealthbox.com with the QR code, as well as Bento Engine, which is sales@bentoengine.com, and Zeppelin, which is sales@zeppelin.ai. So we'll leave this up throughout the remainder here as I take a look at some of the final questions here. I did see a question for you, Ira, in terms of the different meeting tools that Zeppelin does connect with, specifically Zoom. What are all the different possibilities there? I know Christina was sharing that microphone feature and then the Zoom feature. What are all the possibilities there?
Yeah, so Zeppelin connects with all the different video conferencing tools that you have. So whether you're using Zoom, Microsoft Teams, WebEx, or Google Meet, it will work across all four platforms. But you can also use it for in-person interactions as well as phone calls. So if you remember the screen that Christina was sharing, there were 3 different options there to either use the microphone or a note taker or like call a phone number. So it supports all meetings across all 3 different mediums. if you don't want to use our note taker, so typically the note taker sort of feature, it will send Zeppelin as an attendee to your Zoom meeting or your Teams meeting. But if you don't want the note taker to attend the meeting, you can use our microphone feature, which is what Christina used in the call today, which will simply run Zeppelin in the background of a meeting.
Perfect. Thank you. And looks like that is all for the questions. So we'll go ahead and start wrapping up here for the day. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here. And of course, Christina and Ira, thank you, both of you, and your teams for the awesome partnership and for co-hosting this presentation with me. Thank you both.
Thank you. And it's been really fun. I love the mismatched blues of our backgrounds. And really excited to see get some feedback on this tri-joint solution that we've been building. So thanks everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you,
certainly.
everyone. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Christina.
Of course. Yeah. And again, thank you all so much for joining us. We'll certainly be looking forward to working with everyone in the future. Have a great day. Bye now.
Bye.